Hello, and welcome to 24 hours a day. Not 23, not 25, not 26, 24 hours a day. Real quick intro, like I do in all these videos. In the foreword, it says this book was written intended for members of Alcoholics Anonymous to help them get through each day sober. I discovered this book. I found that it seemed like a pretty good resource, pretty good tool for anyone who is trying to overcome any sort of addiction, poor habit, codependency, things like that. So, if you're following along and you're trying to overcome alcoholism, then the wording should be fine. But if you're trying to overcome some other sort of addiction or poor habit, then just make a mental note to replace the wording wherever necessary. I think you'll find if you simply do that, it'll be a good resource all the same. I have very much enjoyed reading it each day so far, and I've enjoyed doing the videos, despite not having alcohol being an issue for me. So, knock on wood. So, all that really matters is you take this one day at a time, but I am going to read the day that is marked April 27th, because it is April 27th today, for me. Thought for the day. By submitting to God, we're released from the power of liquor. It has no more hold on us. We're also released from the things that were holding us down. The things that were holding us down. Pride, selfishness, and fear. And we're free to grow into a new life, which is so much better than the old life that there's no comparison. This release gives us serenity and peace with the world. Have I been released from the power of alcohol? Or, have I been released from the power of whatever fits for you? Have I been released from the power of addiction? Might be a good way to generalize that. Meditation for the day. We know God by spiritual vision. We feel that He is beside us. We feel His presence. Contact with God is not made by the senses. Spirit consciousness replaces sight. Since we cannot see God, we have to perceive Him by spiritual perception. God has to span the physical and the spiritual with the gift to us of spiritual vision. Many persons, though they cannot see God, have had a clear spiritual consciousness of Him. We are inside a box of space and time, but we know there must be something outside of that box, limitless space, eternity of time, and God. Prayer for the day. I pray that I may have a consciousness of God's presence. I pray that God will give me spiritual vision. Let's read it again. Prayer for the day. I pray that I may have a consciousness of God's presence. I pray that God will give me spiritual vision. It's really interesting. This is a very sort of mystical book. I know a bit in the background of AA and the founder, and it's interesting. It's very interesting. Some of the wording on some of the stuff you could take as very religious. And that's fine, but there's a sense of dogma at times that comes. A sense of dogma, a sense of ignorance at times for us, that comes to us sometimes when using religious wording. And, not every person who subscribes to religion or claims to be religious really comprehends the deeper spiritual nature. And that's a big clash that's in the world. But what I admire about this book, probably about AA as a whole, is they transcend that. The wording, though, of course, having some religious connection, again, that's fine. They really are intending to go deeper, which is probably why it is as effective as it is. So, that's my little commentary. Why don't I read the prayer for the day one more time? Prayer for the day. I pray that I may have a consciousness of God's presence. I pray that God will give me spiritual vision. That's it. 24 hours a day. Thanks for joining me. That's all I got. Peace to you. Until I catch you in the next one. Have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful life. I wish you the best.